All right. Well, good day, everyone. Welcome to the 2022 ACUHO-I Volunteer Summit. Welcome back to some of our incoming chairs and leadership that have been with us at other volunteer summits, and welcome to our incoming volunteer leadership. Thank you so much for joining us for this important 2 half-day event. We really appreciate it. And my name is Lori Sabata. I am with the ACUHO-I Central Office staff. I have been hard at work with my colleague, Andrea Moody, who I will turn it over to introduce herself in a moment. We have been hard at work since September, October of last year, communicating with you all. I'm sure you're probably tired of hearing from me and getting emails from me by now about applying and everything else that was involved in getting you to where you are sitting today. And we have also been involved in preparing for this 2-day summit. So we're really excited to have you here. We're in a Zoom meeting mode, which means that you can go ahead and use your chat at any time. If you have questions, we'll be monitoring those. This is, I want to say, this is a relaxed sort of atmosphere. We don't want things to be incredibly formal here. So feel free to use the chat to, talk amongst each other and together with us. And we'll be looking forward to having a good time here today. So I have been with ACUHO-I for, I think it's like, I've lost track, 11 years, it might be more now, I'm not sure. I have been liaison. I am a professional staff leader and been liaison to the ACUHO-I Conference Programming Committee for the entirety of that time. So I have lots of experience and have really enjoyed throughout the years working with some of you that are on this call and others throughout that time. So I am going to go ahead and stop talking, and Andrea, turn it over to you to introduce yourself.
Good morning, good afternoon to everyone. It is a pleasure to see everyone on the screen. I hope everyone is safe and well in their respective places. As my colleague said, my name is Andrea. You're more than welcome to call me Dre. I am the newest kid on the block here with the ACUHO-I. I think I may have reached my 90 days yet, or a little over my 90 days. I currently serve as the Education and Research Coordinator, and I look forward to, I put the link back up a little bit. My role right now is to work a lot with the identity-based coalitions or groups. So right now I am not only working with the Professionals of Color Network, but also the New Latinx and APITA group. And then I will also be working along with the Stars College group as well. So I look forward to working with anyone. So let me know if you need anything. And I will turn it over to Mary, our CEO.
Thank you, Dre, and welcome everybody. Thank you for joining us on what is a cold Monday in January here in Columbus, Ohio. I can't thank you enough for taking time out of what I know is a very, very busy time on your campuses as classes are starting up to join us here. I often say that ACUHO-I, back in the day, pre-pandemic, we were a $7 million organization. But because of the efforts, because of the willingness of our volunteers to give their time, their talent, and their treasure, we play more like a $10, a $12 million association. And for that, I am forever thankful. Today, we're going to go through some things about the executive board, about the strategic plan, et cetera. And there is nobody better to do that than one of our most critical volunteers and the person who leads us all, Pam Schreiber. As you all know, Pam is the president, the 2022 president of ACUHO-I, elected by you, the members. And so with that, I would love to turn it over to our president, Pam Schreiber.
Thanks, Mary, and hello, everyone. I just would repeat all the notes of appreciation this morning that you were able to take some time to be a part of this summit. As Mary said, she put a dollar value on the volunteers' work. But I think that's hard to do in general because it is so critical to the association's success. I thank you for your willingness to share your talent, your expertise with the association. I know that you have a lot of options as to how you are going to be spending your time. And so the fact that you chose the association as a place to invest in is great. So thank you for that. You know, in terms of the summit today and tomorrow, it's really about helping you be as successful as possible as a volunteer leader. And, you know, I hope that you can be with us throughout this period and take full advantage of the time to learn about the association, maybe a bit more in depth, but also to spend time with your colleagues and the staff representatives or your liaisons, because they will be really, really critical to you being able to do your best work. So I'll stop there. Oh, let me just add real quickly that my day job is to serve the University of Washington in Seattle, and very grateful to the institution and to my colleagues here for their support of me so that I can be involved with the association as well. Okay, Mary, do I turn it back to you or do I keep going?
Keep going, Pam.
Okay, thanks. All right, so my job is to share with you a bit about our strategic plan. And I think it's really important that we start with our vision and mission statement, just to remind ourselves of, you know, what those statements are in that, you know, because they guide our work. You know, our vision statement is to be the preeminent resource and champion for the global campus housing profession. And of course, our mission is that the association will cultivate a diverse and inclusive profession dedicated to delivering transformative residential student experiences. And we'll do so through extensive knowledge resources, innovative operational models, courageous advocacy, and resolute community connections. So it's important to just remind ourselves that this is what we are all about. And to ground, you know, our thinking going forward as we talk about the strategic plan. So let me do that with you. The strategic plan really guides our decision making. It helps us to focus our resources, and it describes really how we're going to deliver on that mission and how it is that we're going to continue to move closer to the aspiration of being the preeminent resource for the global housing profession. So it's critically important. We use our strategic plan, of course, as a roadmap. Our planning window is a 3-year planning cycle. So the plan that we're going to be talking about today covers 2021 through 2023. So we obviously have achieved 1 full year under this plan, and we are now entering year 2 of 3. Next slide, Lori. Thank you. So this is an important graphic to consider as we talk about our strategic plan. So the plan focuses on 4 pillars that provide the structure for how we deliver on that mission. The pillars of education, knowledge resources, community, and advocacy are, you know, guide our work in making sure that we have a balanced approach to our use and our allocation of resources. So our current focus areas or strategic emphases include diversity, equity, and inclusion, partnerships, professionals who work at small colleges and universities, and live-in staff. So as represented by this graphic, we have our 4 pillars, and under the current strategic plan, these strategic emphases really wrap that plan, and they really help to guide us in terms of how we deliver on our programs and services and the things within the work we do that we want to emphasize and give special attention to. Next slide. So the next two slides provide an overview of the process that we engaged in to create the current plan. And I don't think you're going to find this too surprising. You likely participate in these processes in your own institutions, and you'll probably see some real similarities. So the current plan, as I mentioned, that we are working under began in 2021. So the association actually began about 18 months in advance of that to begin working on the new plan. So during the first half of 2019, we did identify a facilitator to help us with this process. And during the October meeting that year, the executive board and the foundation trustees worked collaboratively in a visioning session where we identified really the high level issues, the high level concerns, tried to peek into the future and figure out where the association needed to give its attention. As we entered 2020, we started the year with an all-member survey to collect information from our members. And then continued the planning process in February with the executive board. Now, this meeting in particular included a consideration of the 2020 State of the Profession content, which was really a comprehensive look at the factors and issues that were impacting or will impact our work. So that was considered as well, so that those issues could be incorporated and considered into the strategic plan process. The work led to a couple of what you might call deep dives into the needs of two core audiences in particular that we wanted to take a closer look at, so we better understood how the plan should reflect these particular priorities. So we initiated two committees of the board. One committee looked at the mission and vision and discussed whether that needed to be updated. And then a second task force looked at professionals working at small colleges and universities and entry-level or live-in professionals. And so those two deep dives really informed finalizing the plan. Okay, by July of 2020, it was becoming quite clear that the pandemic was having a pretty significant impact on the association and that this was going to continue into the launch of the new strategic plan. So the board spent several months really reimagining how the association would deliver on its mission. The pandemic really turned everything familiar into uncharted territory. So we really had to think about how do we keep doing the work we are charged to do, but under very, very different circumstances. So we took time to do that. We did finalize the plan by the end of 2020, and the work on that plan started 1 year ago this month. So I'm going to get back to what we were able to accomplish in the first year of this plan. But before we do that, I just want to do a quick reminder, next slide, Lori, that the areas of focus continue into this second year of the plan. So we will continue to give high priority to the values around diversity, equity, inclusion, and the value of partnerships. And then secondarily, we'll focus on professionals working at small colleges and universities, as well as our entry-level and live-in professionals, those who perform their duties from a point of living in residence. So those will remain our areas of focus or our strategic emphases as we move into this second year of the plan. So let's take a look at this past year. So as I mentioned, this plan started a year ago this month, and so we're celebrating our 1-year anniversary to date. We're 1/3 of the way through, and I wanted to just point out a couple of highlights of the things that we were able to accomplish in the last year. If you recall the email that Mary sent in December to all members, Mary outlined a much more extensive list of accomplishments and listed them pillar by pillar. Not all of that is included here. I hope you can recall that email, and if not, maybe go back and take another look, because there's so much good work that that is not reflected here on my slides. But just a couple of highlights. From an advocacy point of view, ACUHO-I took a very strong stand in advocating for priority for vaccines for frontline staff. We proudly launched the second Leadership Academy, and the group of individuals who are participating currently in that are people who identify as Black women. Great report put out through the sponsored research grant with Nessie, talking about the case for campus housing, one of the most comprehensive reviews of the value of living in residence at a time when I think we really needed it. And most recently, we revised and repositioned our DEI statement. A couple of other things, next slide, Lori, that I would want to highlight. Did a lot of work in regard to our core audiences that we have been talking about. So a lot of offerings for our professionals who work at small colleges and universities, and for our live-in staff. And in doing that, partnered with a lot of other organizations to offer great content, up-to-date content, and content that really was meaningful to the work that our members do. Lots of traditional offerings. We kept the lights on, we kept the ball rolling here, offered all the really favorite programs that ACUHO-I is known for. And one of the biggest shifts, and probably most successful, was the virtual TPE. And so when you think about all the things that needed to be done to make that happen, pretty successful project there, and really something that I think we all can be proud of. If there are any silver linings to the pandemic, it may be that we all realize there are some things we can do differently that are either as effective or more effective, and very well may help us plot our future. And then, quite exciting, we have 4 new affinity networks that we have launched for our members to participate in and to find community and find support. So a lot of great things happened in the first year of the strategic plan. And as we look forward, into this coming year, we have a lot of equally important and impactful items on the agenda. So as we do look forward into the second year, like we did before we finalized this plan, we are going to need to continue to consider how the dual pandemics that we are dealing with are connecting with and impacting our strategic plan, and then really consider how that impacts our products and services. And so in looking at this coming year, and considering what we have to deliver as an association, we still need to keep in mind, what is going on in the world around us. And I know you don't find that surprising at all, because we're all doing that in our own institutions and in our own work. So as we go forward, next slide, Lori, we have to think about our products and services in a way that meets the ever-changing needs of our members. And we have to keep in mind that we want to rely on the strategic planning process and our pillars to guide our work, but we also want to rely on data. So we want to be innovative in how we meet the needs of members. We want to continue to reimagine, our educational sessions and how we get those to members, and then continue to engage partners in ways that really results in great content and meaningful content for our members. I wanted to, end on this note, because I wanted to just say that many of you are or will be working on the very products and services that we either have or will need to in the future reimagine or reevaluate or adjust in order to meet the needs of our members and to fulfill our strategic plan and ultimately to meet our mission. So, as you are working on the various volunteer projects and action plans that are on your plate, I hope that this content this serves as a context for you in understanding how things are moving forward, how you can move things forward, but also if we need to make some adjustments, it's really with purpose and intention in mind. So I hope this was helpful for you to kind of get this high-level overview of what's guiding the association, what's guiding the board, and what can guide you in the work that you're going to be doing. So Mary, with that, I'm going to turn it back over to you.
Thank you, Pam. And in the upper right-hand corner, you will see a teeny little slide. We'll make sure that we give you a more blown out slide of the org chart. And I'm reminded that this document is embedded in the platform. So if you want to open that up, you can certainly see it there. You know, I think at times it's important to say the words out loud that ACUHO-I, the executive board, is an international executive board. And like many corporate boards, the executive board holds true to many of the same types of disciplines of governance that, you know, big corporations would hold true to. Even though we may be a little bit smaller than, let's say, a General Motors or Elon Musk company, et cetera. The executive board is the one who sets the strategic direction for ACUHO-I. The staff takes that direction, and working with our volunteers, we develop plans and we execute against that strategic direction. You know, I am so proud of the work that our executive board does. They are a very high functioning governance board. I will tell you that they meet monthly. And talk about the strategic issues that are facing the association as well as the industry. And they also serve as my sounding board. It is great to be able to go to the executive committee, who you see in the upper left of the organizational chart. And on the call today, of course, led by Pam Schreiber, we have Leon McClinton, who is the incoming president. We have Gay Perez, who is the vice president, and Olin Garrett, who is the financial records and corporate officer. They make up the executive committee. The executive committee meets once a month as well. And the executive committee's role is really in between the executive board meetings to, you know, act as a governing body. They also set the agenda for our executive board meetings, as well as sort of talk through some of the issues that may feel a little bit outside of regular executive board meetings. But there's nothing really that the executive committee talks about that isn't then at some point brought forward to the executive board. As you go down, you'll see that going across the top in the blue boxes are all the directors that have been elected, again, by the membership. We are a knowledge-based governing board. That means that executive board members are voted to represent a specific area of knowledge. However, like governing boards, while they come in through that door, once they get into that, once they get into the board, they really are required to be a voice of reason. They are required to talk about any issues that they feel like they have expertise in. So I see Yeti on the call. She's on my screen right now, so I'll pick on you, Yeti. Yeti is our diversity, equity, and inclusion director. Yet we expect Yeti to voice her opinions and thoughts and expertise on a whole range of topics, not only those that are devoted to that particular knowledge area. So we are a knowledge of the board, or we are a board of directors that is knowledge-based, yet everybody now has the same voice, and we speak as one voice. You know, like good boards that have good governance, we occasionally go back and we look at our governance. So just because something worked 4 years ago or 5 years ago or even 2 years ago, on a regular basis, we go back and we say, okay, what's working? What isn't working? What have we heard from sitting board members? What have we heard from exiting board members, and what can we do to make this experience better, not only for the association, which they are governing, but also for the individuals who really are taking an awful lot of time and giving us so much of their energy to make ACUHO-I, such a wonderful organization. We also do a board self-assessment. So each year they give a feedback on how things are going. And last year in 2021, after feedback, we heard, from some exiting board members who did not have a lot on their plate, if you will, the board experience wasn't as fulfilling as they would like it to be. And then there were others who were saying, I have so much to do. I don't know that I'm doing a good job as a volunteer. And so a group led by Leon McClinton, Suzanne Price, Frankie Miner, and Julie Leos, the last two have now rolled off the board, made some recommendations back to the executive board, and you'll see that some committees are reshuffled under their board liaisons. We believe that this setup is a way for committee chairs, committee co-chairs, and frankly, anybody on a committee or any member to easily get in touch with their board member. We think it's a great way to make sure that we can connect the dots, so that the right hand knows what the left hand is doing. And as many of you know, we are a big, broad, deep, complex organization. And so anything that we can do to make sure that we are connecting the dots, that we are using our resources efficiently, that we are leveraging information from one area into another is very, very important. This new organization also reflects the expansion of opportunities we have for people to volunteer. You heard Dre talk about the new affinity groups that were launched this year. That expansion comes after the executive board thinking about the strategy, hearing from our members, hearing from committee chairs and committee co-chairs and volunteers who, in some ways are the people close enough to us to say, hey, we need to put some emphasis on these things. And so this reframing allowed us to expand, not only who we're serving, how we're serving, but also allow others to come into a leadership role. I will say to all of you, the path to the executive board many times is by becoming, joining a committee, becoming a co-chair, becoming the chair, learning a little bit more about who we are, how we operate. I encourage all of you to think about when the time is right for you to consider running for the executive board. I think that those who have served will tell you that it's a wonderful way to give back, but it's also a wonderful way to grow your professional career, to grow your professional network. And some of the friends that you make on these boards are friends that you will have for life. So with that, that's how we're organized. We meet monthly. I encourage you, if you ever have any questions, to reach out to me, reach out to Pam, certainly anybody on the executive committee, but quite frankly, anybody who is a member of the executive board.
Thank you, Mary, and thank you, Pam. Thank you both for sharing your perspectives and also that very thorough overview on ACUHO-I. So I am now going to turn it over to Leon McClinton, our ACUHO-I Vice President-elect, and Gabe Perez, our ACUHO-I Vice President, to, we're going to do a little bit of sharing and introductions. So I will turn it over.
Thanks, Lori. Again, my name is Leon McClinton, currently Director of Housing and Residential Life here at Oklahoma State University, and very fortunate to be serving as President-elect for our awesome association. I would like to share a little bit of my story because I think it will help you understand or help illustrate how volunteering can help enhance the overall professional experience. I've worked in university housing for 30 years, if you count my time as a resident assistant. Our field is responsible for helping me grow as a person and a professional. After I realized as a graduate student that I wanted to make this field a career, I knew I needed to continue working on my leadership and public speaking skills. So I was very methodical about my development. First, I knew that I needed to start presenting at conferences, so I would seek out colleagues within my institution to see if they would co-present with me on the state level. After doing that for a couple of years, I had the desire to be the president of the South Carolina Housing Association while working at Clemson University. Discovering that you didn't have to run for it provided more incentive for me to pursue the role. If your university wanted to host the conference, then you could be the president. No one else at my institution wanted to be heavily involved in coordinating the annual conference, so that allowed me to serve as the state president. Leading that state conference propelled me to get involved on a regional level. I served many roles for the Southeast region, such as faculty member multiple times for the National Housing Training Institute, oversaw the placement exchange at the annual conference, and more importantly, I will never forget the day that I was minding my own business, getting ready to head back home after the conclusion of a regional conference, and our senior housing officer, who was about to become the regional president, asked me if I would serve as a member at large for the region. It was a new position, so no one really knew what the position entailed, but I accepted it without hesitation. When a supervisor or a key stakeholder within the organizational structure of interest offers an opportunity to be involved, please try your best to accept. Even if you don't know anything about the position or the position was just created, don't be intimidated. Colleagues will help you figure it out. I have to admit, I had not served on the ACUHO-I executive board prior to being elected to serve on the presidential level. However, there was another situation where I was asked to serve in a role that I didn't know anything about. It was the ex officio position on the ACUHO-I Foundation Board of Trustees. I accepted, and within that 1 year, my professional network expanded significantly. For most of my time being involved in the association, I've focused on writing and also presenting. A couple of my publications are The Help I Didn't Know I Needed, How a Living Learning Program Fits into the First Year Experience, which was published in the Journal of the College and University Housing publication. I also wrote a chapter on managing Greek housing that was published by ACUHO-I also. A couple of my ACUHO-I conference presentations were Intentional Community Development, Lessons Learned from Leading Yesterday, Today, and Tomorrow, which was presented at ACE in Toronto. I was fortunate enough to have two co-presenters that were past presidents of the association, and they strongly encouraged me to run for president. The first time around, I lost to Pam Shriver, which was very understandable. I also presented on a topic called Creating a Post-COVID Business Plan, which was presented last year. I just completed my first year on the executive board while serving as vice president. I've learned so much as I reflect on my experience. I think observing and learning from our CEO, Mary De Niro, and our current president, Pam Shriver, have helped me grow. Oftentimes we think growing by watching others can only happen on our respective campuses. But another reason to volunteer is that you will pick up strengths from housing professionals around the country and around the world. If there's anything I can do to enhance your volunteer experience, please don't hesitate to contact me. Wishing you a very productive and successful year. And I'm going to turn it over to Gay.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Gay Perez, and I currently serve as the Assistant Vice President of Student Affairs and Executive Director at the University of Virginia. I am so honored and thrilled to have been elected as ACUHO-I's Vice President and to follow my good friend, Leon McClinton. After listening to Leon share his pathway within ACUHO-I, I could go and do the same thing. But one of the things that resonated with me that Leon says, and I want to share with you today, there is no downside to volunteering. There are so many positives, especially within this field and industry in which we rely so heavily on each other to do our work and to serve the students on our campuses. And it's a choose your own journey. Like, you can be as involved as you want, and you can go in the areas that you're more passionate about than others. But there always, when you volunteer and you put yourself out there, another door will open for you, and hopefully another door and another door. So I'm thrilled to be serving again on my second time of the executive board. I've also served the foundation in the foundation chair role. So ACUHO-I is truly my professional home, and I hope it becomes yours as well.
Right. Thank you, Gabe. So let's figure out who's in the room. So we definitely have exec board members that are guests here. We also have our ACUHO-I professional staff, but volunteers, we'd like to take some time to learn a little bit about you. If you could state your name, institution, and your volunteer leader position, we would greatly appreciate it. If you want to share more, that's fine too. Let's see here.
It's okay for folks to just jump right on in and start. We'll just popcorn around, and we can hand it off to one another too if you'd like to do that.
Hi, everyone. My name's Lisa Alexander. I work at the University of Maryland. I'm the chair for the ACUHO-I Sustainability Advisory Committee, and I am the coordinator for sustainability programs at the University of Maryland.
Hello, everyone. My name's Steve McKenzie. I'm the Director of Housing Facilities at the University of Oregon. And I am the incoming chair for the Housing Facility Services Committee.
Hello, everybody. My name is David Grimes. I'm the Associate Director of Guest Services at Columbia University in New York City, and I am the chair-elect of the program committee.
Hi, everyone. My name is
Okay, go ahead.
Hi, everyone. My name is Evan Huckbell. I am the Associate Director for Housing at Loyola University, Maryland, and I am the Talking Stick Chair.
Hi, everybody. I'm Mallory Sedaris. I'm the Director of Housing at Southern Illinois University, Edwardsville, and I'm the incoming chair-elect for the Mid-Level Leadership Institute.
Hello, everyone. My name is Teresa McKyer, or TK, and my pronouns are she, her, hers. I am the Assistant Director for Housing and Residence Life at the University of North Carolina at Greensboro, and I am the chair-elect for the Professional of Color Network.
And I guess I'll go right after her. Hello, everyone. My name is Magda Compare, and I am Assistant Director at Winston-Salem State University in North Carolina, and I am the chair of, well, one of the co-chairs for the Professional of Color Network for ACUHO-I. Happy New Year.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Nicole Faison. I am currently the Assistant Director of Residence Life for Training and Recruitment at Georgia Southern University for the Statesboro campus. And I am coming in as one of the co-chair-elect for Women in Housing.
Hello, everyone. My name is Stephen Korris. I am the chair of the membership committee for ACUHO-I. I serve as the Associate Dean of Residence Life and Off-Campus Housing at the Curtis Institute of Music in Philadelphia.
Hello, everyone. You can go. Well, I'm gonna try to kick off a group of three, so we'll see how this goes. But hello, across all times of day today. My name is Newman Coronado. I use she, her pronouns, and I am my day job is as the Associate Director of Residence Education at Michigan State University. I serve as the chair of Stars College, and I have two amazing folks in that chair series on this meeting as well, so I'll kick it over to one of them.
Kenny.
I was going to let Kenny go first.
Yes, sorry. Sorry about that. We just had moving. Aloha, good morning, everyone. My name is Kenny Lopez, and I am an assistant director in student housing at the University of Hawaii at Manoa. And I am in the chair-elect role for Stars College.
And I'm Sasha Matsumi. I serve as the assistant director of Residence Life at Miami University in Oxford, Ohio, and I will be Kenny's chair-elect for Stars College.
Hi, folks. Lauren Murphy. I use she, her pronouns. I'm at the George Washington University as the assistant director for residential education, and I am the chair-elect for the housing internship program.
Hi, everyone. My name is Payche, say she, her, hers pronouns. I'm an assistant director at the University of South Florida, Tampa till the end of the week. And then I'm transitioning to the University of Texas at Austin. And I am one of the chairs for the Women in Housing Network. Nice to see everyone.
Hi, everyone.
Hi, everyone. Oh, after you.
Okay. Hi, everyone. Vinny Birkenmeyer, he, him, his pronouns. I'm the director of residential life at Pace University in New York, and I'm the incoming chair-elect for the Public Policy Advisory Committee.
Hi, everyone. My name is Morgan Murray. I am an associate director of residence life at the University of North Carolina at Charlotte, and I am the incoming faculty selection coordinator for NHTI.
Hi, everyone. My name is Nick Kirkstad. I use he, him, his pronouns. I'm the Assistant Director of Student Care and Outreach at George Mason University. I'm currently the co-chair of the LGBTQ committee.
Hi, everyone. My name is Victor Bell Robinson. I'm the Director of Residence Life at Miami University in Oxford, and I am the chair of the Public Policy Advisory Committee. I use she, her pronouns.
Hi, everyone. My name is Amanda Iverson. I use she, her pronouns as well. And I'm the chair-elect of the LGBTQ network. I currently serve as the director of residential life at Union College in Schenectady, New York.
Hi, everybody. I'm Beth Ackman. I use she, her, yeah, sorry, it's been a crazy day. Pronouns. I am the new incoming chair for New Smallage College University Network. And I'm at SUNY Morrisville in Central New York. And thank you for unmuting my thing, whoever the person is, because I couldn't get it to do it. So thank you.
Hello, everyone. I'm Dave Craig from Oregon State University. I am our Director of Assessment and Business and Development for University Housing and Dining Services. And I am the incoming chair for the Campus Housing Index Committee, and I use he, him pronouns.
Hi, everybody. My name is Jeff Cooper. I am the Director of Student Housing and Residential Life at California State University, Monterey Bay, and I am the current chair for the Mid-Level Leadership Institute.
Hello, everyone. My name is Deanna C. Hughes. I have the pleasure of serving at Florida State University as a residence coordinator. I use she, her pronouns, and I serve as the Women in Housing Network co-chair.
Hi, I'm Michael Griffin. I work at the University of Oregon in University Housing as Director and AVP for Student Services and Enrollment Management, and I am incoming chair for the Campus Housing Index panel. And it's great to see everybody.
Hi, everybody. Happy New Year. It is great to see everybody. My name is April Barnes, and I serve at the University of South Carolina as the Executive Director of University Housing. And I get to volunteer as the admin for the program committee this year.
Hi, everybody. My name is Allie Whisker. I work as an area coordinator at Southeast Missouri State University. I use the she series of pronouns, and I am serving as the Academic Initiatives Conference chair-elect.
I'll follow Allie. Hi all, my name is Jeff Gadowski. I am one of the other chairs for the Academic Initiatives Conference. I use they, them pronouns, and I work as an assistant dean at Coronado University in our West Campus House system.
Hi, my name is Michelle Soyka. I'm at the University of Cincinnati, where I serve as an assistant director of housing. I get the opportunity to serve as co-chair-elect for the Women in Housing Network.
Hey everyone, my name is Shiori Silver and I use the pronouns she, her, and hers, and I'm an area coordinator at the University of Illinois Urbana-Champaign, and I serve as a chair for the PETA network.
Anyone else? As far as volunteers?
Hello, everyone. I'm Richard DeShields. I'm the Dean of Student Engagement and Auxiliary Services at Miles Community College in Montana, and I'm serving as the incoming chair-elect of the Awards and Recognition Committee.
I recognize several colleagues, so it's so exciting to see you serving in this capacity. So welcome aboard. Did we cover everyone? So I wanted to get to the e-board. I know we'll hear from Suzanne very soon, but do we have any other e-board members that are on the call?
Hi, Leon.
Hi, Leon.
I
No,
thought I
sorry,
saw
Kenny, go ahead.
And Matt, okay, yes, go ahead. You want to introduce yourself and your role within ACUHO-I?
Sure, I blipped out there for a second, so I wasn't sure what was going on. Good afternoon. I am Kenny Mock, and I am Director of Operations and Outreach at the University of Houston, and am serving ACUHO-I currently as Business Practices and Enhancements Director, and I use he, him pronouns.
Great, thanks, Kenny. Matt?
It's great to see everyone. My name is Matt Nelson. I use he, him pronouns. I am the head of Residence Life and the Qatar Foundation in Qatar, and I serve as the Globalization Director on the Executive Board.
Okay.
Hey, Leon. Hi.
Yes.
I think
Hey,
you're doing
Sarah.
introductions. Hi. I just could join. I had another meeting I just came from. I'm Sarah Waters, though. I'm the chair of the awards and rec. I think I heard Richard giving his intro as I joined. So
Yeah.
it's great to see everybody. I'm at the University of Kansas.
Yeah, one of my Big 12 colleagues there.
Thank you, Leon.
Yeah. Okay, any other e-board members?
Hi, everyone. I'm Yeti Marquez Santana. I use she, her, hers pronouns. I am the Assistant Director of Residential Life at New York University, and I serve as the Inclusion and Equity Director on the e-board. Happy New Year. So great to see everyone.
Happy New Year to you and to everyone.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Stephanie Lynch. I use she, her pronouns, and I currently serve as Assistant Vice President for Student Affairs at Georgetown University in Washington, D.C. And my area is Workforce Development Director. So areas such as like Stars College, NHTI, mid-level, a lot of the different groups that get together that are connected into professional development. So really excited about the opportunity to work with many of you and learn more about your roles and your visions for the programs.
Great, thanks, Stephanie. I know I saw Holly earlier. Any ACUHO-I professional staff members that we have? Holly, I know you're on the call. And Grant, I see Grant too.
Hi, everyone. I'm Holly Stapleton. I'm the Senior Director of Business Operations and Chief of Staff at the Home Office. Thanks, Leon.
Hi, folks. Grant Walters, Director of Educational Programs at the ACUHO-I Central Office.
Hey there, Spencer Kesey, he series Education Programs Manager at ACUHO-I.
Hey everyone, I'm Allison Jones. I'm the Director of Development and Corporate Relations at ACUHO-I.
Get my headphone down there. I'm Amy Shropshire, and this is actually my second week starting as Director of Marketing and Communications for ACUHO-I.
Welcome aboard, Amy.
Thank you. Excited to be here.
Hey everyone, I'm Tori Nagash. This is also my second week at ACUHO-I, and I have started as the Research Initiatives Manager.
All right, welcome, Tori. Now, have we covered everyone? Okay, Laura, I think we'll go to the next slide. We have a question for you, or a few questions for you. So, what do you already know about ACUHO-I and how it serves you as a campus housing and residence life professional? As Laura mentioned at the beginning, this is we want to try to make this as informal as possible. So, any thoughts that come to mind when you read that question?
So I consider ACUHO-I to be the go-to resource on all things housing and residence life. If anything is remotely happening close to campus housing, I want to know what ACUHO-I thinks about it. And I also count on ACUHO-I to create resources that I can use on my campus to enhance the work of my campus and myself and my colleagues.
With you saying that, Vika, I think about the talking stick. Isn't that a great resource? I mean, tremendous resource there.
Yeah, the Talking Stick's a great resource. And then, you know, I know that some things have shifted in the central office, but I can't count the number of times I've been like in some meeting here and somebody has said something and I'm like, well, that sounds like I need to go see what's going on in the ACUHO-I library around that. And like, send me as many resources as possible about, you know, 2-year live-on requirements or about live-in staff salaries or whatever it is. I really do rely on ACUHO-I if I'm trying to make an argument. I rely on ACUHO-I to support the data, to provide the data I need to be able to make the argument. And nobody questions it on my campus either. They're not like, oh, well, it's just ACUHO-I. They're like, oh, okay, that must be well. So it's a very credible resource when it comes to campus housing.
Absolutely. I've gotten a lot of mileage out of the data that we produce with Nessie and the documents that we provided, we put on the website. And so we've shared that with parents and students, and I've shared it with campus partners. Just ACUHO-I is always putting out information to justify our role on college campuses. I agree. Anything else comes to mind?
I've really enjoyed the chance to get to like delve into a part of our work that we love the most, right? So if you love training and development, but you don't get to do training and development 100% of your day, I think committees and offerings or chances to really delve into that. That's what got me involved with the public policy committee. In my role, I didn't have to do tons of, you know, that work on my campus at the time, but it was a chance to meet with other folks in the field and across the country, the world, to discuss things that I just found interesting. So I think we get the chance to do that, whether it's in meetings, offerings, events, webinars. So I've really appreciated that.
Great. Thank you, Vinny.
I can jump in with something as well. As a former regional president, I felt that ACUHO-I was really great about connecting the regions together. And I felt that there was a lot of great resources and a lot of great abilities for us to develop those relationships across regions to support the regional associations, which then in turn kind of gives back to ACUHO-I. So very much is like almost like a full circle support system. But for me, I think that's what opened the doors for me wanting to get more involved with ACUHO-I based on the support that I received during my regional president here.
Thanks, Dave, for sharing that. Anybody else?
I think for me, all the data, a lot of what's been shared is very valid. For me, I think what's become most poignant, particularly in the last few years, it's the relationships. And that was said earlier about just the lifelong friendships you gain. Because particularly over the last couple of years, that's been the anchor, the rock, however you want to look at it, to kind of lean on, knowing that you have a whole bunch of people that are going through the exact same thing. And I think that's ultimately what's going to sustain me over the rest of my career, regardless of the data pieces. It's going to be the relationships.
Well said, Jeff. Thank you. Anybody else? All right, Laura, I think we can move to the next slide. Next question. Okay.
All right, I have the next question. Is there anything you still want to learn about the association that you don't already have a grasp?
All right, our work is done here. Perfect.
Signing off.
No, there's so much to know, to learn. And after being involved for many, many years, I'm continuing to learn new things. So I do hope that there are some things that you might mention as well.
I was going to share that I feel like this is one of those trick questions because it's you don't know what you don't know. So I'm hoping to learn something I don't know, even though that's really broad and vague, because it's probably that I don't even know that it's something to be looking for yet.
One thing I would comment on is having served probably over 5 years ago now on the executive board. To me, what is so astounding is the pace by which ACUHO-I changes. I mean, their ability to pivot and be nimble and hear the feedback. There are mechanisms now in place where we can act on feedback and data much more quickly than we used to. So I just want to throw that out there for those who are just first getting involved in ACUHO, and then those who potentially have been involved with ACUHO can track the progress and how much more efficient and nimble we have become. Well, if everyone has a grasp, I'll kick it back to Leon.
Thanks, Gay. What is one thing you like to accomplish as a result of attending the summit? One thing.
I can go. So I think one of the things that I want to accomplish is I have a lot of great and wonderful ideas. And I think hearing the vision and some of the direction and the strategic plan will help me kind of focus in on what I can focus on accomplishing. Because I'm one of those that I'm like, oh, I can do everything. And the amount of time it takes or the amount of energy. So I think working with my team to be able to focus in on some of the goals and where we want to take the professionals of Color Network is really going to be some awesome opportunities to kind of sit and work with.
Great to know that you have a lot of good ideas, Teresa. I've taken note of that. Anybody else?
I really appreciate it. I feel like last year when I was in the chair-elect role, this really provided an opportunity for me to connect with last year's chair around what the Public Policy Advisory Committee would do. And then that really did shape sort of our committee meetings and our initiatives. And it was a good way to set goals and then know that what are we aiming to do here and to know that we were successful in doing those things. So I'm looking forward to working with Vinny during some of this time to be able to sketch out what the year's gonna look like for us.
Good, thank you.
Leon, for me, it's, to accomplish is to meet and start to connect with a network, a greater network of individuals, is that I can, communicate with across all areas of the ACUHO-I and looking at the org chart and everything to help guide and direct some of that housing facilities committee agenda going forward. So I think this has really been beneficial to me so far.
Great. Thanks for sharing that. Anyone else? Okay. Lori, back to you. Suzanne.
Yes, thank you, Leon and Gay, for leading that conversation. I'd like to welcome Suzanne Price. I'll let Suzanne introduce herself, and it's good to see you, Suzanne. Suzanne is our board liaison to our program committee, so we've spent lots of time on calls together. So Suzanne, welcome.
Hi, thank you, Lori and everyone. My name is Suzanne Price, and I work at Clemson University, where I'm the Director of Residential Learning. For ACUHO-I on the board, as you can see here, I'm the Knowledge Enhancement Director. And I was one of the positions, I've been in the role, last year was my first full year in the role, but I am one of the positions that was restructured a little bit. So I'm looking forward to working specifically with this group this year. And I've been asked to share a little bit about ways I've, interfaced, connected with, worked with volunteers. First, I want to just say thank you. I also was a volunteer through the Journal for several years. And I just want to say thank you. I know that the amount of work that you put in is tremendous. And we all have jobs that are also tremendously time consuming. Many of us have family, partners, other things. So we have lives that are really hectic right now. And the fact that you're willing to continue to carve out time or to devote time to the greater profession in the field, I really appreciate that. I see the role, certainly in my position, I think many of my colleagues on the board as well, as a liaison, truly being a connection, being available for communication, for feedback about anything that's happening in your committees, but also maybe on your campuses. We try to be the ears and the eyes and see what's getting the pulse of what's happening across the globe in terms of the work that we do day to day. So I also believe, as with, I think it was Dave Grimes that said, but trying to connect as like the regional presidents are connected by that board person, I see it as my role as well to connect these areas that are listed here for you, the journal, CHI, research committee, and the conference program committee, because there can be some real synergy. And so I'm constantly thinking, not just about these, but across the board, across our field, oh, do I need to tell somebody else about something that's happening in this committee because they need to know and perhaps could benefit and we could work together. So really, I feel like I'm a conduit of information, a connector, a sounding board, an advocate, a support person. And that's really, really what I think my role is, and what I would say many of the people on the board, how they see their role as well. And that's all I have.
Thank you, Suzanne. Any questions for Suzanne before we move on? All right, thank you. We're going to move on to the next portion of the conversation today. So I am going to turn it over to Grant Walters and Holly Stapleton to lead that portion of the program. So welcome, Grant and Holly.
And greetings, everybody. Thanks for joining us, and glad you're all here. It's nice to spend a little bit of time with you today, chatting a little bit more about developing the profession. And so everything that we have discussed so far sort of folds into that idea that we're all here to develop our profession and move it forward. So everything that the executive board, our volunteer leaders and our staff do, and all of our corporate partners, folks who work with us, external partners, everybody involved is sort of motivated to do that. So everything we're going to talk about from here forward, we'll explain a little bit about how we support that with educational research and some other areas as well. And so Holly and I are going to just chit chat about that a little bit. This is my 6th year at ACUHO-I. I was in the profession for about 17 years before I came to the central office, working at many places. The entire room here is filled with folks I used to work with, former supervisors, people I was on executive boards with. I'm a Pascal ACUHO president, a Pascal co-regional advisor. And so the profession is very near and dear to me. And so the fact that I get to spend all of my days helping the profession to learn and grow in this capacity is pretty great. And so I appreciate all the opportunities that I've had to work with all of our volunteers and our staff to accomplish that mission. My job in the office is working with our career initiatives that are from mid to senior level. And so our mid-level leadership institute, our senior housing officer institute. I partner with Holly on the State of the Profession Symposium. I work with our Aspiring Directors Institute that we do with ACUHO-I and NERSA. And I'm also involved in our global initiatives. And so I work closely with the Global Initiatives Network on many of their initiatives as well. So my job sort of has some of those higher level things that we do with those initiatives, and it's a lot of fun. And so I really appreciate all the work that we've been doing, especially in support of our new strategic plan, but it's been a great time. And so I'm going to turn things over to Holly to chat a little bit about what she does and how she supports that as well.
Great, thanks, Grant. So again, my name is Holly Stapleton. I'm the Senior Director of Business Operations and Chief of Staff at the Home Office. I've also been at ACUHO-I for almost 6 years. I think I started maybe 2 weeks after Grant. We learned together. I bring a traditional higher ed background in a lot of ways, just like Grant. I have a master's in CSP, I have a doctorate in higher ed. I more recently got an MBA from Ohio State, just because I like school, evidently. In terms of student services tenure, I have some experience in residence life, conduct advising, certainly student leadership and well-being are amongst the other areas where I've worked. In terms of what I do at the association, I work very closely with Grant. He's our most senior education person on my team. I directly supervise research, education, publications, and marketing and communications. So essentially all of ACUHO-I's programs, products, and services. I also serve as the professional staff leader to various groups, supervise the folks that you work with by and large, and then also work on strategic projects like task forces and work groups and work closely with the board. So really touch a lot of the things that you do along with my team, and it's been a great experience. So we look forward to continuing to support you as we move into 2022.
Thanks, Holly. Or go ahead and move to the next slide. So a lot of what we're going to talk about just in the next few minutes up until our break is chatting about education and how everybody works toward educating the profession and again, moving it forward. And so I'd love for everybody, if you want to just have a few folks who are willing to share, what's the most important educational opportunity you've received in your career so far? And what components of that experience made a big impact on you? And so we'll just popcorn around anybody who'd like to share.
I think that one of the volunteer opportunities I had from ACUHO-I really was educational by being in that volunteer experience. And so I had the wonderful opportunity of being a faculty member for Stars College for 3 summers in a row. And the people I connected with, the ability to then connect with them later about issues I was dealing with in my work and to be in that community would have been individuals I would have connected with any other way. Like they're in different regions. I worked with some other faculty members who were dean of students and VPSAs by the time we were connecting. And so I had the opportunity to learn and grow more in my day-to-day role, thanks to connecting to those individuals through the volunteer experience.
That's great. Thanks, Sasha. Anybody else would like to share?
I was going to share something similar. I think my experiences in the marketing committee back in the day and the business operations committee and just building those connections with other colleagues has been really critical for me in terms of that impact it's had on my professional career, and also just friends it was really encouraging just hearing, for a lot of us, I think that backbone and that support and this really hard work we do is knowing that there's people in this room. And so for me, I think it's been that engagement and those volunteer opportunities with ACUHO-I that have been really beneficial for me in terms of my education.
Thanks, Mallory.
Yeah.
Hey, Grant, I would share, I attended the Senior Housing Officer Institute in 2012, maybe, like in the first 2 years I was a director. It was in Atlanta when the first snowpocalypse hit there. It was fantastic. But just the resources and the perspective of that faculty that I gleaned from that opportunity, and how I was able to contextualize that. And I still on occasion go back to that resource file that we got after that institute, just to see if there's something in there that's, again, almost 10 years old now, that might be helpful to me. But that was very transformational to me as I was learning and becoming a director.
Great, thank you, Sarah. For anybody who is still looking to attend the Senior Housing Officer Institute, we still have applications open for this year, so feel free to share that and or apply yourself if it applies to you. And we'll just take one more person before we move forward. Anybody else want to share?
Grant, I think for me, hosting the Standards Institute allowed me an opportunity to really understand the ways that we use assessment to better what we do. And that really gave me a lens of really assessing everything. And using the ACUHO-I framework to kind of guide what we do and make sure that we're moving along our programs, and then getting to interact with the colleagues who were getting those strengths and then later on becoming to do those on their own campuses.
Great, thank you, Richard. Okay, we'll move to the next slide if we could, Lori. Okay, so our entire framework for education and research is built on sort of 8 pillars. And so you see they kind of run parallel to one another. So the first one is our guiding principles, that sort of continuum there. Leadership and engagement, obviously, the reason why you're all here is critical to the work that we do on a daily basis. Certainly we have a full-time staff, but our entire heartbeat relies on volunteers to help us execute that work and to give ideas, contribute, to be the forward-facing part of ACUHO-I. So the work that you do as volunteers is incredibly important to everything that we do every day. And so we hope you know that your contributions, the things that you come up with, ideas, your questions, everything that we have comes from volunteer leadership, and that's really important to us. The other is advocacy and responsiveness. Obviously, Pam shared some things with you today that came out of our strategic plan. And so we want to continue to be responsive to our members and the needs of our member institutions and the companies that we work with as well, and all the partners that fold into our operation. So the ways in which we reach out and advocate for the profession, but also responding to different issues. Certainly the pandemic, among other things, has been something that's been at the forefront of our minds. But we try to do that every day. The diverse, equitable, and inclusive leadership has become a critical part of ACUHO-I over the years, especially first when we became a global association back in the 1980s. But now, as we look forward to a lot of different things happening in our society, being able to respond to those things and developing leadership and operations that are more inclusive and respond to current issues and needs. And finally, the cultivation of knowledge. And so what we really hope is we can move the profession from one place to another. So being able to build competency. Rich mentioned our professional standards. Right now, we're in the process of revising our core competencies and professional standards. Amanda Knurr at Ball State, I should say, is leading the charge with a committee of volunteers who are reviewing those documents and looking to adopt those to 2022. It's been a while since we've done a critical review of those, and so we're really excited about how we're going to implement those and educate our profession about how we can use them as well on their campuses. And then there's operational excellence, and we strive for this every day in all of our operations, certainly our education department, our knowledge resources. Folks have mentioned multiple things like our library, our online community, and multiple things that we produce, our conferences and events, influential leadership, again, the thing that you all contribute to as you work in ACUHO-I. And then finally, community. A number of folks have mentioned the relationships that they've built as being a part of the association. And we know that's a very critical part of why people want to be a part of the things that we do. And we hope that we can continue to cultivate that and build a community that you're proud of, people that you can connect with to find common interests, people that can support you and build you up as a professional throughout your career. So those are big goals for all of us. Next slide, Lori. So our executive board, volunteers, professional staff, and partners all work collaboratively to create the association's learning initiatives, our educational events and programs, our philosophical framework, i.e. we mentioned some of those foundational documents like the competencies and the professional standards. So everybody here contributes to that mission. Next slide. And we built those out in different components. And so you'll see these come up in the work that you're going to be doing in the coming year or the coming years as your terms play out. First and foremost is online learning. Online learning has become a critical part of the association over the years as online courses and education have become building blocks of the profession. So certainly we have individual courses, our certificate programs, our webinars and virtual roundtables that folks attend pretty regularly. Folks find those really valuable. And these may be things that will be products of the work that you do on your committees and networks. New in 2022, we're going to actually be developing a higher education student affairs certificate. We'll have more details coming up about that in the near future. But we're always looking to diversify. And so if you have ideas or contributions you'd like to make to some of those things, we're always open to ideas, but reaching out to folks online, especially as we're an international association, a global association, that becomes a really effective way that we can build those relationships and connections across the globe. Next slide. Of course, our conferences. A lot of folks remember when we back when we did in-person conferences. We're very pleased to say those are returning for 2022 in some way, shape, and form. We're going to be hosting our conference and expo in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, coming up in June. It'll be the first time that we're together for the annual conference in 3 years. So that's a big deal. We're excited that folks are also excited about it. We've gotten a lot of great feedback and folks who've talked about the fact that they're looking for a homecoming and that they're looking to reconnect with folks. So we're hoping that that'll be a place where we can get back together and share ideas and memories and stories and things like that as well. We also have our upcoming conference series. It was the October conference series, but we also have some things happening in September as well. So we'll be in New Orleans for our academic initiatives, business operations, and ACUHO-I APA housing facilities conferences. Next. Of course, we also have a number of institutes, colleges, and symposia that we do throughout the year. You'll probably see these are familiar names. Many of you have probably attended these, both as attendees, faculty, as committee members. Of course, Stars College, the James C. Grimm National Housing Training Institute, which applications are currently open for professionals in 3 to 7 years of professional work. Our Professional Standards Institute, which was part of our past portfolio, we're looking to retool that and reintroduce ways that we're going to rework the standards and implement those in the association in the near future. So look out for that. Our Mid-Level Leadership Institute, our Senior Housing Officer Institute, the State of the Profession Symposium, which is happening in just a couple of weeks. Our Global Housing Training Institute, which we've done regionally in the UK and Australia. The Ralph Visser South Africa Housing Training Institute, which just happened this past September virtually, but normally we land in South Africa and do that in person. And then of course, partner programs with a lot of different associations that contribute to student affairs knowledge and community. So SCUP, NACAS, ACUHO-I, NERSA, and NASPA are a big part of those. Next slide. We have a lot of other special programs and initiatives. Our housing internship program, which is in progress right now, and Spencer is at the helm of that program. As a former housing internship program alumni, that program was really foundational in getting me involved in the profession way back in 1998. We have our study tours, which have been on pause, obviously, for the pandemic, but we're hoping to return those in some way this year. Our HBCU Roundtable Retreat, which gathers directors and other staff at HBCUs from across the country. The Placement Exchange, we just hired a new director, Denaja Thomas, who's doing a fantastic job, and she and the TPE committee and Spencer as well are leading that into the next phase. Our Leadership Academy, which Pam mentioned at the beginning of our time together. We have a new Global Ambassador Program that's being facilitated by the Global Initiatives Network, where we're looking to have folks from around the world who are going to serve as ambassadors for global initiatives and helping us develop programs and concepts for our global institutions. We have our Multicultural Institute, which we held for the first time this past year, separate from the annual conference and expo, and we held that virtually. Magda was one of the folks who helped us with that and did a fantastic job, and a lot of folks around this room helped to contribute to that. We brought in our Small College and University Symposium and our Live and Staff Symposium last year for the first time, and then we'd introduced our ACUHO-I Stories podcast in the past year as well. Next slide. We have a really comprehensive list of networks and committees, which all of you comprise. And so in addition to the leaders in this room, we also have folks who are members of those committees and networks who participate and who get great value out of those. And so if you look at our website underneath Professional Network and Volunteer, you'll be able to see a list of all those things that we offer. Certainly many of them are open membership. Folks can join at any time. And as Gay mentioned, they can be involved as they wish or be in the background and just gain some insight and information. We also have our knowledge resources, which folks have been speaking about, our talking stick, our Journal of College and University Housing, and our ACUHO-I library, which are ongoing resources and have been for many years for the profession. And also our research initiatives, our funded research grants, endorsed research, sponsored research, and our campus housing index, giving our profession an opportunity to develop real homegrown data and research. We've often found that broad research in student affairs is sometimes difficult to apply to the housing environment. And so giving our membership an opportunity to develop those on their campuses and through their own activities has been really, really valuable. And we gained some fantastic insight on the profession from those projects and ideas. Next, please. I know that Mary and other folks have mentioned this certainly before, but one of the things that's really important in all the work that we do is to recognize we're an international association. The Dash-I and ACUHO-I is really, really important to us. We have a constantly expanding global lens, and certainly being online and the internet and all of our online initiatives have certainly helped us to expand those things. We're learning more about institutions outside the US than we ever have before. And so we're encouraging all of our folks who work in our various networks and committees to continue to consider that and to know that our work happens across many, many time zones, many, many ranges of institutional sizes, diverse staff and student and faculty populations, physical, political, cultural, socio and economic boundaries, and linguistic lines. All those exist in ACUHO-I. And so we're really proud of the progress we've made there. We have a lot of work to do too. So we're hoping that everybody that's a volunteer and that is on staff will continue to contribute to that mission. Next slide. Well, where we're going in 2022. We're continuing a lot of what we started in 2021, and Pam already gave you a taste of that when she talked about the strategic plan. But this year, the Multicultural Institute will continue on, the Live in Staff Symposium, the Small College and University Symposium, the Aspiring Directors Institute with our partners at ACUHO-I and NERSA, and the Global Summit that we held this year with the Global Initiatives Network will all be a part of our portfolio, in addition to the things that we've traditionally done throughout the years. And again, as I mentioned, returning in person will be our Conference and Expo, our October conference series, and the Aspiring Directors Institute as well, which will happen sometime in July of 2022. Next slide. We've talked a lot about the virtual environment over the past couple of years, and of course that's become very much important as we've had to move many of our programs to virtual environments because of the pandemic. So it's pushed a shift to virtual environments, and you can see we still hold this particular summit in person as well, but we've discovered also that there are opportunities and benefits to that as well, greater engagement with more members, including notable contact with early career professionals and a wider range of housing professionals who would have been otherwise able to participate. That really came to light for us this year. We had almost 3,000 people who participated in our conference and expo last June, and a lot of professionals whose professional responsibilities, personal responsibilities, their professional development funding may not have allowed them to attend in the past. And so that accessibility point was really, really important for us as we think about how we exist in the virtual environment and also what happens when we come back into an in-person space. And that's something that we'll ask all of our networks to think about as well in our committees as they do their work this year. So it shifted the work that we've done as an association. So it's moved everything from our budgeting and our event planning and scheduling. And now that we're moving some events back in person, I think we'll have lots of ongoing conversations about what will remain virtual or then transition into two-pronged events. You may have seen somewhere on our website that we'll have a virtual and an in-person version of the conference and expo in June this year, and more details will come out about that shortly. But we know that engaging folks in our virtual environment will be very, very important as we move forward. And your professional staff leaders that you'll meet with later on this afternoon and tomorrow will guide you through some of those processes and conversations and talk with you about some of the tasks and things that we'll need from all of you to focus on in the coming year to make those things happen. Next slide. Okay. Any quick questions that I can answer from all of that? It was a lot of information in a short amount of time. And I think we're actually a little bit ahead of schedule, but any questions or things that folks wanted to contribute that you didn't get a chance to?
All right.
All right. Thanks, everybody.
Yes, thank you. And we'll have plenty of time later for, if anyone has any questions, we'll be able to address those. So thank you, Grant, for taking us through all of that very thoroughly. So we are actually at our time where we can take a break, and we're a little bit ahead of a schedule, so I think that's great. We can take a break until, let's take our break until 3 o'clock as planned. We'll come back together. There's going to be a new Zoom link, and I'm going to attempt to put that in the chat right now. You can also access the new link through the platform. So if you lose the link or just don't pick it up, please go back to the events platform and you should be able to pick up the link that way. So when we come back together at 3 o'clock, myself and Spencer Giese and Dre will take us through a little just overview of sort of professional staff liaisons. You'll hear us say PSL a lot. So when we say PSL, that means professional staff. I think it's actually leader. I keep saying liaison. And we'll go through all of that, and then we will go out into our breakout groups and have some time for the groups to work together. So I'm going to post this link in the chat, and we will go ahead and close this session out, pick up that new link and at 3 o'clock, and we will see you then.